All right, let's call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Wagner.
Here.
It looks like Commissioner Itica is absent. Commissioner Linder. Looks like he's absent. Commissioner Satanovich. Commissioner Satanovich. She's there on Zoom. Commissioner Carmichael.
Present.
Looks like Vice Chair Johnson may be absent. Chair Crushhour.
I am here.
And it looks like Commissioner Itica just joined us on Zoom.
All right. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as it is?
I'll move to adopt the agenda.
I'll second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
I'm not getting any audio. Can anybody hear me?
There you are. We can hear you now. Can you hear us? Anybody opposed? All right, the agenda passes. Business from the public. This is an opportunity for anyone to give a brief presentation about any land use planning issue or county concern that is not on the agenda. We have nobody in attendance, and I don't think we have anybody online, do we? Nope. All right. Work session discussion, update planning commission bylaws.
Okay, thank you. For the record, I'm Gail Henriksen, Community Development Director. The Planning Commission is governed by a set of bylaws that establishes meeting times, it establishes your rules of order, and explains generally the roles of the Planning Commission and staff. Our Planning Commission bylaws were last updated in 2022, and during this past legislative session, House Bill 3136 was adopted that changed the ORS that governs the makeup of the planning commissions throughout
I'm
the
still not
state.
getting anything. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear us?
It also won't let me type in the chat box for some reason.
We can hear you.
I can hear and speak too. I'm fine.
Okay. Okay, so the change that was made from House Bill 3136 removes the prohibition of having more than 2 members of the Planning Commission be engaged in the buying, selling, or developing of real estate. And so that language, which comes directly from ORS, is currently in our bylaws. And given that as a small county, we often encounter difficulties recruiting members, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission recommend the board change the bylaws to drop that prohibition. And also, since we have not reviewed the bylaws since 2022, it seemed like a good time. Did you hear us now? To see if there's any additional changes that the Planning Commission wants to recommend to the board. And so really that's our discussion item for today.
Has the planning commissioners looked at this, and have they came up with any suggestions or anything as well? Because I know that we're directly underneath them.
Yeah, they have not looked at it yet. If you do recommend making any changes, the board would have to review it and approve those changes.
I would be curious if they had any suggestions, because...
Yeah, nothing that they've ever spoken of to me.
Okay. The only change that I saw was that language being crossed out, right, that you guys recommended.
Right.
Is the recommendation to have no limit on the number of people or increase the number?
It's neither, actually. It's, we would remain at 7 members, but what would be removed from the bylaws would be that prohibition against having 2 or more members or more than 2 members engaged in the buying, selling, or developing of real estate.
I guess that was my question. So you're recommending removing that completely, so there could potentially be 7 on the board.
Correct, yeah.
Did the original, the no more than 2 voting members shall be engaged in the same kind of occupation, business, or trade or profession, is that something that I'm assuming has been there for a long time?
Mhm.
And the reason being, because we're trying to diversify and get more members of the community to be involved.
Mhm.
If it's a bylaw, what happens if we just can't get it? You have a lot of stuff, and I don't know if that's the same kind of occupation, so realtors and builders, not the same kind of occupation, even though they kind of do, they're in the same business. Does that relate to idle people, you know, stuff, all that's tied to residential homes, construction and whatnot? That's kind of a vague term. Would that be a decision that you or the board or someone would make if, like, Commissioner Johnson and I are builders, and if a realtor wanted to come in, or we were trying to recruit somebody, would that veto them, or you know what I mean? Because it's kind of a vague.
Right. So overall, as contractors or real estate agents, you're involved in the buying, selling, or developing of real estate for profit. But we currently have 2 contractors on the board, so a third one could not be permitted. But a realtor could come on.
Okay.
And a title person company could come on.
Okay. Just, sometimes they all get tied together. I mean, you know what I mean? And I know how hard it is to get people to volunteer.
Yeah.
It's very hard. Does anybody else have any comments or any suggestions or anything
How many
about
people
our bylaw?
applied to fill this last vacant slot?
I believe that there were 6, but the board had asked staff to encourage candidates from either Commissioner District 1 or Commissioner District 5. And so we ended up with Mr. Carmichael, who is he is in Commissioner 5 district, in Commissioner Thompson's district. So.
I'd like to make a comment because that pertains directly to me, this last appointment. I see the diversity as being extremely important because I think that influenced my decision to apply. I don't see that it's affecting that. I think what it's doing is placing a restriction on limiting a certain group. And that doesn't necessarily encourage more diversity. That actually do the opposite. So I still not necessarily opposed to it. And I don't see any way of amending that statement to make it a little more, less. I see it as more restrictive than I do the diversity, but I'm not opposed to it. That's my comment. I mean, I'm happy to be here. I'm not sure that, this District 5, had it been open, and I don't know of those 6 people who you had apply, whether they were eliminated because of this potential change. Do you have any idea?
No, they weren't eliminated because of this potential change. They were, not moved forward because the board specifically directed staff that they wanted to recruit an applicant from either District 1 or District 5. And since we have 2 people on the Planning Commission who already represent incorporated areas, and several of those applicants were from incorporated areas, whether it was Warrenton or whether it was Astoria, the board would then have had to make a choice to kick the commission to appoint another incorporated person, and they didn't want to go that route. So it had nothing to do with profession, it had to do with geography.
Yeah, I guess what I'm not so clear on is this actually improving chances of people applying as much as it is the opposite. But on the other hand, I can't predict the future. And I certainly understand your concern about getting applications. That's a problem with all volunteer boards.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's just how I feel. I'm not opposed to it. I just can't predict how it might affect, getting more people to apply. I don't see it necessarily as doing that, but that's fine.
And you're not required to make this change to your bylaws. You can leave them as they are, so.
Is it in there? I'm trying to find it. Is it in there that, and maybe I'm just not reading it right, that each district shall be represented, or?
I don't think that's explicitly stated. I think that is our goal, but sometimes you just cannot recruit someone from a particular district. And, we don't leave the position vacant.
And we don't have any say who comes and goes or when we come and go, the board does.
Correct.
But is that their goal as well, or is that what they're trying to do, even though it's not in our bylaws? Do they just take it upon themselves to try and, I know it's hard to get one from every district, but it's not in our bylaws?
Not that I recall. I know that we talk about it in our recruitment ads, but I don't specifically recall whether or not it's in your bylaws.
I'd like to kind of go back and talk about this same, what my colleagues were just speaking on regarding the same kind of occupation. Previously it revolved around property ownership, and I know that was the example that was presented as well today. But for instance, Carrie Johnson and I are both commercial fishermen as well. So if there's anybody else already sitting on the board that's a commercial fisherman, that would make 3 of us, if it was in addition to Carrie and I. So, there's so multiple, especially in a community like Clatsop County, there are quite a few different professions. I guess we all, intermingle to make things work. So, and I guess listing my primary occupation and then secondary, I just don't know how you weed that out. And I kind of feel the same, that this actually could, I wouldn't say would, but could limit our ability to recruit, so that if, someone may gillnet just a small portion of the year, or they may just go to Bristol Bay, things like that, but they have a whole nother occupation going on. So, this might exclude them from participating in this board. So just my 2 cents.
I agree with that. I have 2 occupations and sometimes 3, being a builder, a police officer, and a full-time coach half the time. That would eliminate a whole lot of people. And you're right. There are more people that have commercial fishing licenses than we even know. I've had one before. Does that make me a commercial fisherman? No, but I've had a commercial fishing license too. So not currently, but yeah, that's a good point. How do we?
So if that caveat, that new item number 2, is part of ORS, we cannot change it. If it's not part of the ORS that lays out the Planning Commission membership, then we change it. But I'd have to go back and verify whether or not it's in the ORS.
So did they remove it from the ORS, or?
No.
No. So
What they removed was the prohibition on the buying and selling and developing of real estate as a profession.
but the ORS still states.
I don't know, I would need to verify.
Okay.
So what we may want to do then is just continue this to next month, and, I can verify that, whether or not that language is in there.
I would like a chance to read over this again, and I would also like to ask the county, the county commissioners, if they have had a chance to look at, I mean, because we're directly appointed, we work right underneath them, if there's any other suggestions or things that they would like removed or added or
Okay.
whatnot. I mean,
Yeah,
they
I did,
dictate everything we do and how we function pretty much, but
yeah. I did ask the county manager if he wanted this to go to a work session, with the board before we brought it to them for official vote. He said no.
okay.
I can ask him again and tell him that the planning commission would like this on a work session, and,
I mean, if it's been asked, then I guess it's been asked. I just want to make sure that we were including them in this discussion. Is everybody okay with tabling this until maybe December, because we don't have a meeting
that's right.
in November, and circling back and,
Yeah, I think it'd be good to review both line items, at the same time, if we're gonna do a motion to change them. I'll just state for me that, I think, having the people that are in real estate and development, they seem to understand this language and ask good questions and, understand the business, and, I think limited to two is not a good thing, and having more on would be okay, but I do like some diversity too, so, maybe not unlimited number, but maybe 3, 4 members could be in this field, just a suggestion.
and to add, we don't always agree. As builders or developers or anything, there's some heated discussions in some of those things that happen. But Director Hendrickson, is that, we're gonna table it until
Mhm.
next time, and
Yep,
everybody will look at it, and if you look at that ORS and see what it clearly states, I mean, because if it clearly states that we can't,
right.
so.
Yep.
I think that's a great idea.
And I agree.
Okay. Item number 3, work plan quarterly update.
So every year, as part of the Community Development Department budget, the board approves a work plan for the department, including a very detailed work plan for the Land Use Planning Division. And since we have been doing this over the past couple of years, we've been bringing, first of all, the draft to the Planning Commission at the beginning of the year before the budgets are adopted to get your input. And then we've been providing you with quarterly updates. And so really, I'm just here on this item to answer any questions that you might have about any of the projects.
Does any of the planning commissioners have any questions on the work plan, or need an update on a specific item that's not in here?
I might later, but reading through it, you know, being vague to it, most of it, no, I don't at this point.
I think the things we've been working on all year, or you guys have, so it is moving along from what everything looks like.
Mhm.
I don't. I was gone the last couple of months. Do we have anything on the FEMA BIOP?
Mm.
Is it still going forward? Have they stopped it?
No, they have not stopped it. They issued their draft environmental impact statement, I believe, in July. Comments were due back October 6th, so we submitted comments, Clatsop County did. And at this point, I think it's going to be dependent upon funding and things that are happening at the federal level as to whether or not FEMA will move forward with that. There's still the requirement from the biological opinion that they have to do something. There's a lawsuit that was filed in 2023 by an environmental group that stated that FEMA was not moving forward quickly enough with implementation. There was a counter suit for an injunction, which is on hold right now. So at this point, we've submitted our comments, and we're just going to wait and see what happens.
All right. Item 4, project status report.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, I'm David Cook, Planning Manager for the Community Development Department. Looking over the project status report for this month, there are actually quite a number of items on here that will be gone after or for the December Planning Commission meeting. The housing amendments, which is the second item on the list, was readopted by the board on remand back in September. The appeal period has ended, and as far as I'm aware, that's going to be going into effect, or perhaps it's already in effect.
October 10th.
Was in effect on October 10th. So that's a big project that took a fair bit of time to get going. Next item, Goal 18, or updates to Goal 18, was heard by the board at a first and a second reading. It was adopted by the board, and pending any appeals, it should go into effect in early November. At the same hearing with the Board of Commissioners on October 8th, the board adopted the 4 goal exception, or the 2 goal exceptions, and the text and map amendments for the Army Corps of Engineers dredging projects out in the Columbia River. So that was ordinance 2503, 2504, 05, and 06. So since those have been approved pending appeal, they're going to be moving forward and taken off of the December project status report. And if you guys have any questions about any of the items on there, let me know.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
No? All right. Moving right along. Director's report.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot of my report, David's already covered in the project status report, but just a couple of other items. We are beginning work with the Fair Board to assist in updating their 2009 strategic plan. The board just approved that scope of work and the agreement between the 2 entities, and so we'll be starting that in early November. I want to welcome Mr. Wayne Carmichael. He's our new Planning Commission member, and happy to have him here.
Thank you.
And just a reminder that there will not be a meeting on November 11th, which is our regular meeting date, and that's due to Veterans Day. Coming up in December, we'll have the legislative amendments from the 2025 legislative session. We're going to have the updates to Goals 16 and 17, which will then close that project out once they're adopted. And then in January, we're looking at some other issues, updates to our sign regulations, which are over a decade old and really focused on a more urban type of situation, so just revisiting those. And then looking to establish an administrative variance process where we could not go through a full public hearing, but if a very minor variance is required, that could be approved at the staff level. And other than that, we have made a job offer to the planner, who will be starting November 10th. And then we are interviewing next week for a new code compliance specialist to replace someone who moved over to building codes. And Laura Byrne, the building codes permit tech, is retiring at the end of this year, and so we'll be interviewing for her position as well next week.
Darn it.
And other than that, I'm here for questions.
All right. Any commissioners have any questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right. Anything good of the order? Nothing good of the order. With that being said, I guess we can adjourn this meeting. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.